Hi everyone, thanks for coming out on such a brutal day, and I won't keep you too long. It's great to be out in Deakin and the state electorate of Mitcham, which is also a very marginal election in the upcoming state poll, and out the front of Mikey Simon's office, one of the major parties who have abdicated their responsibility so far in climate change and have got a week to retrieve that situation. My name's Gavan McFadzean. I'm the campaign manager for Victoria for the Wilderness Society. And I just want to talk a bit about what is often a bit of an underrated or less talked about area of the climate change debate, and that's the role of logging and land clearing in the debate. And that is that the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, estimates that deforestation accounts for about 18% of global emissions. But we know now that that's a dramatic underestimate, because deforestation is only the permanent land clearing of native vegetation. We now know that if we include logging or what's called degradation, as it's defined internationally in the debate, then you can almost double that figure. So almost a third of global emissions are land use change, either deforestation or logging around the world. So if it's a third of the problem, it needs to be a third of the solution. And what we've been doing over recent years is trying to, through our international delegations and our domestic campaigning effort, try to convince the Australian government and the international negotiations to act on deforestation and also on logging. And it's an issue that's often pointed to the developing countries to play a role because their per capita emissions are low. But developed countries that are still fortunate enough, like we are, with large areas of native vegetation like Australia, like South Africa, like the US and Canada, and Russia, with large areas of native vegetation left, can play a major role. Australia still is one of the world's greatest land clearers, and it is still a major logging country as well. Our forests are amongst the most carbon dense on Earth. In fact, pretty incredible statistic, if you drive just an hour east of here, you are in the most carbon dense native forests on the face of planet Earth. They store up to 2,000 tonnes of carbon per hectare, the Mountain Ash forest just east of Melbourne. And yet the forests east of Melbourne are being cleared at the rate of 12 MCG-sized football fields every single day. So what we've been calling on the federal government to do is provide incentives for that to change. It's primarily a state government responsibility, the logging of native forests, but both jointly between Gillard and Brumby and also other state governments around the country, calling for them to arrest the destruction of Victoria's and Australia's native forests. Now in Victoria we can move on this issue relatively painlessly. Victoria's plantation estate matures this year. It matures at a level that's far greater than what comes out of native forests. About 8 times what's available in native forests is available right now in Victoria's plantation estate. So the transition, the substitution out of destroying our natural environment and into purpose planted trees can now be done. So one thing we're asking people to do, there's a bunch of these stickers going around. Please grab one of those. At least keep it on your car until the federal election, and then we're fortunate enough, I guess, to have a state election in late November, and the same message applies, which is the protection of Victoria's native forests. It can play a major role in reducing Victoria's emissions profile, along with closing Hazelwood, and they're the two clear messages that we should be asking state and federal governments to do. And it's not just a critical issue for mitigation, as I've explained, but also for adaptation. So when we protect our native ecosystems, we play a very positive role in achieving deep and early cuts in emissions, but also in adaptation. And by that I mean improving the resilience of our ecosystems to adapt to whatever climate change is now inevitable. So the protection of our river systems, of our native forests, of our riparian areas, which also add to obviously more sustainable agricultural systems and more sustainable communities. So for mitigation, but also for adaptation to whatever climate change now is inevitable, the protection of our native vegetation is absolutely a crucial part of any response to climate change. So grab one of these, and also go to the Wilderness Society's Facebook site for more information about what to do in this area for the federal election, but also for the state election in late November. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.